Hey everyone, can you hear me? Perfect. So I want to talk to you about Tosca BI. So Tosca BI is automated testing in the BI and data warehouse space. Okay. Before we jump into tool or anything, I would like to just give you an overview on why do you need to know about Tosca BI? Why is it important for you? What areas is it covering? So Tosca BI is important. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay, good. So Tosca BI is used, for example, in the classical data warehouse and BI space. So what that means is we're testing from a source. Data is being sourced, goes into the data warehouse, is tested there, and then goes from the data warehouse into the report and tested on the report. Now, it's also relevant in ETL testing. ETL testing is when you not look at the entire data warehouse, but you just concentrate on the transformation. So one specific aspect of it. Often people talk about big data testing. So there we talk about things like Hadoop, where you work with data lakes. Tosca BI can be used in that space. Also for data migration projects, so you migrate from one application to another. Everything that has to do with data. Database upgrades, so you change from Oracle to DB2, for example. That's when it's relevant for you. Or when you talk about report testing. So you are testing those BI reports that your analysts are using to make decisions. So maybe you yourself have one of those projects at your company or a colleague of yours. Now, this is where it's being used. But now we also need to answer the question of what is it used for? What problems does it address in those spaces? Okay, so this is just a tiny list. And I want to go through it because it's the most common problems that people have. So testing takes too much time. Why does it take too much time? Maybe because it's done manually, maybe because it's done at the report layer at the very end. So Tosca BI will help you there. High testing costs. Again, it can be because it's done manual. It's not efficient, so you might need the help of an automation tool. Introduction of Agile is also something that is important. More and more BI projects also have to be in an Agile process, and what that means is you have to have test automation. You can't do it manually anymore because it just doesn't scale, it doesn't work. Testing guidance. What we hear from our customer is one team does something, another team does it differently. They don't really understand, they don't really know what they need to focus on. So with a tool such as Tosca BI, it gives you focus. It guides the user on where to concentrate, what area to test. Introduction of DevOps. Same as Agile, you need to be able to integrate into your continuous integration, continuous deployment environment. Best practices introduction, very similar as the guidance. Two teams might not do it the same way, so you want to get best practices. Not every customer even is aware that the data warehouse needs to be tested. So it is one first step on defining those best practices. Complex transformations, you need a structured approach to testing complex transformations. It's one of the main challenges. Siloed testing teams. We have one department that does testing with their own scripts, maybe write some Python scripts, and then we've got another department that does it manually, and then we got a third one that does something else. So the idea is that you can get a tool and have a common approach. Better data quality, yes, we help you with that. End-to-end testing, very important. So you want to be able to test from source to the data warehouse to the BI report. So you want to be able to test everything. We help you if you, for example, have no idea what you're covering with your tests. So you do tests, but you cannot answer the question on what do I cover. You need a tool. Generally, we want to increase your test maturity, and we help you with monitoring, profiling your data, and we can also test up and downstream systems. Now, maybe it's not you that has such a problem, but maybe it's your colleague that has one of those problems. Okay, with that in mind, I want to use that time quickly to just talk about two sessions. This is the first one. It's the deep dive session is happening today at 4:15, and I will be talking about theory on Tosca BI as well as practice. I'll show you the tool, I'll show you how do I do those transformations, how do I address exactly those points that I said before that are challenges for the companies. And then there is another session, if you're still here tomorrow, at 3 o'clock, and we're going to talk about case studies on what we're experiencing at our customers, what are the top challenges that our customer face, and how do we address them with Tosca BI. So that's at 3 o'clock until 3:40. Also, we have a booth, and it's in the second row, and there's always people at the booth, so come there and talk to us. Okay, this is an overview of the types of tests we are offering. First, well, before I go into the tests, what we have is we've got the source on the very left. These are your external systems. Then the data is being ingested into the next layer, and the data ingestion or data lake at the, let me see, here at the bottom. And in the middle, we got the data storage, business view, that's your core data warehouse, as well as the data mart, so an aspect of the data warehouse. And then we got our BI tools at the end. And what we want to now explore is how do we test this? How can we tackle that? So, as I said, first is pre-screening tests. Pre-screening tests are important because we want to ensure at the source that our data is correct. So we're doing metadata checks, we're doing format checks. Because if we don't do those checks at the very beginning, we test at the report layer and we find an error, and, well, where has it occurred? We want to start at the very source. Okay, vital checks and field tests. They are used when data is copied from one layer to another layer. They check, like, is my data complete? They check, is my integrity correct? Is it, for example, unique? Are my nullness constraints correct? They typically applied between ingestion layer, data warehouse. The third type of test is reconciliation. Reconciliation, what it does is it does a full comparison of two data sets. So the advantage of that one is it's covering everything, every single row. The disadvantage of that one is it takes much longer than the vital checks and the field tests that we're having. So you can't use it at all times. Then we got the report testing. Report testing is typically done on either the UI layer or on a non-UI layer, so we can access the reports through web service engine as well. Tosca BI is on top of Tosca, so everything you know already with Tosca, all the functionalities, you get them, plus you get then the additional functionalities of testing specifically these environments, specifically your data. That's just on top. But that's why we can use our existing web service engine, for example. And then we have last monitoring / profiling tests. What we're doing there is we define business parameters, and so we have an expected value, and we track that, and we run that over time, and we want to ensure that the data we're getting back is what we are expecting. And this is just a quick preview on how it looks in Tosca. It's completely integrated, as mentioned. There is a little ribbon bar, BI specific ribbon bar at the top, and we have a folder, a BI folder that we're using. And to see it in action, come to the deep dive session that is happening at 4:15. I'm running out of time now. I also like to talk about case studies, but come to the booth and we talk about case studies of customers that are using it already. Thank you.